Hello, welcome to the 9th episode about the strategy game Warring Factions. This will be the final of the beginner series, and then the next video will be moving my entire population off the planet. Here I've got the script. So to download these you need to have a Chrome browser and Grease Monkey or Taper Monkey. And of course you're always taking a risk downloading anything from the internet, and particularly this place because you're downloading executable files, automatic executable files. So you gotta have good confidence in your internet security that you're not doing anything dodgy, because everyone knows what you're doing anyway. So if you want to find where they're from, I found Saladin's address. I believe it's his work, and it's good security tech. That's pretty cool. I wouldn't be allowed to work in that. I got in too much trouble when I was younger, and I'm still young. So he's developed all these and they work great. But in particular, one that I would really like is this mission queue, because I don't think that was finished the last time I checked. That would be great. And I'll make a instruction video for it. Have some automatic fleet transfers going on with limitations. And this is the carrier loader script. I don't actually know how to code in these languages, but I'm sure I could learn, but I never took the time because I did other things. But it's just a pattern of logic, so if you can think about what is left and what is right, then you can code. Now I looked for this site and it's blocked me out, so I don't know, this must be from a private network. But anyway, these are all the active scripts running, and you can manage everything pretty well with this free program. So every time a page in the website loads, it will, as it's running the information, it also loads the script and adds information. So it's like a controlled virus. So people use them mutually, that they have the potential to break the game. So there's a certain way to use the script that I'll show you, that if you do it this way, there's an absolute minimal chance of breaking the game. Because when you do that, you tend to just lose everything. You don't end up winning. Because it's in a matrix. Other numbers are counting on your numbers, so if you mess up your numbers, then they get way out of whack later on when it's too late. Anyway, this is the fleet that I need to provide, it's the best word I could put for it, using a very complicated series of instructions that takes a little while to learn. So hopefully I can jumpstart a lot of people into doing this by seeing this video. That sounds like a pretty solid design to me for a fleet. I got wide 2 trillion credits, which I'd use to buy those ships, and I'm going to have a bit left over, and I'm going to have some people left over. So I'm going to jumpstart all my economy, but because one is the same as many by that rule, it doesn't matter that I'm doing it with many, because it's the same thing as if I was doing it from the beginning, except now I just have multiple tabs of the same ship open and the numbers are slightly different. So instead of delivering 400, I'm going to be delivering 6 groups of 450,000 citizens to 6 planets, compared to what would just be one transport of 400,000 citizens to a new planet. So that's how far behind I am, and all of those planets have been terraformed. So they've like, for how many battles they've been in the game, which is less than 500, that's pretty rapid attacking, because the last game I remember there was 1,234 battles when the game ended, and now the game is you could say over halfway through now. So they've increased their kill rate in my maths. Right, so now I'm making the command frigates for each of the fleets, and the names are of course already there, and I just copy and paste a lot of stuff because I can't be bothered typing it, especially if I'm transferring lots of numbers like I will be doing. And these are like the communication hubs of a fleet. So every ship's in contact with it, and it's in contact with every ship. So because it has the highest targeting score, if any ship sees an enemy, it sees the enemy, and all ships see the enemy, and all around the board. And if the command frigate gets removed, there's a tick that goes by where the fleet doesn't have a ship in charge, essentially, and they get absolutely whacked. So if you lose your command frigate, it's not good, even though you will automatically have assigned a backup for down to the last ship. But yeah, but that you kind of actually can't help that. That's just part of it, being the gamble in it. I've heard specifically from, I think, Pick about that. I've never played in a group with all these people at the same time. It's usually been in separate empires. Back to the fleeting up. It took me a bit of working out, and so I cut out portions of this video, but I'm making it as straightforward as possible without skipping out any information. So now I've created the fleet, and what you do with the carrier loading script is you put the amount of ships in each carrier. So you don't put 3,500 and then click load all, because then nothing happens and it still pretends it's loading. So you have to click how I have here with 7. And if you click the normal button without the script, you get this, which means that one ship has loaded, and then you have to manually go through 2,000 ships and load them all manually. So that's why you're pretty much required to download that script if you want to do any attacking, because you need fighter groups to do attacks. Otherwise they'll be limited to not being in carriers, or these carriers are loading corvettes, which is trick. It's just a possibility. So the corvettes are way faster than what they normally are, so they can have more armour. But then you have to pay for the cost of all of the extra carrier fleets, so it balances out the value of the actual ships because of the speed. And then in combat they're that regular heavy ass speed anyway, so it's not like they're actually faster. So I've cut out a lot of me actually manually loading all these ships. But essentially here you can see in the roster, after it's finished all loading up, it says 3,500 in carrier. And in this menu as well. You can see that there is 3,500 less fighters or corvettes, which are the Cannon 6.4, in the colony. Yeah, I just highlighted it. So I'm just trying to confirm that the script has run properly and there aren't any like ghost ships, because ghost ships are bad. And when you get a ghost ship, it means that you can't use one of your ships, your 20,000 ships that you've been assigned, because it's recorded as being owned but you don't know where it is, which is a problem that every single military operation has ever had in the history of military operations. So I think it's funny that it still is just in there, and it can happen because you've got to be careful if you want to muck around with the game code. Now I'm just going to go and load up this whole fleet and not make you watch it. Now that the videos are advancing, I'm going to cut out a lot more of the menial stuff. See, this is the kind of crap you deal with if you don't have a script. Checking fleets like this is a nightmare, because there's multiple different pages that have different information. So you've got to cross-reference, and then only some orders work on certain pages sometimes. Well, that's how it used to be. So you just stick to doing it the way that you know it works, and everything works. When it comes to some edgy coding that God help anyone who tries to fix, pretty much, because every time they try to fix something else breaks, is it, you know. I think one of the other main coders is Apache 1990. I think he's done quite a bit of patching. Right, here's me just showing you again manually how I've created a new fleet with a carrier as the flagship, then added 499 extra carriers, then gone to the loading screen and then added 7 of the ships, which is I will show you more about that later, because this is just following instructions, so it's not way too complicated. And then click the script, and then it's sat on the screen. So after you've clicked load all, don't touch the computer and wait, and then you will get a message after about 5 minutes, or after 3,500 loads. I think it was taking 10 game minutes or something to pass. 10 minutes it seemed like. Don't try to do other stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. And then when it's finished loading, you do a perimeter scan, and I find the fleet that I'm supposed to reinforce, which I'm creating, because you can only create fleets that are 5,000 ships large, so I've maxed it out at 4,000 just to keep it simple. At 500 carriers, 3,500 vets. I keep calling them fighters, but it's just easier to talk about them as fighters if they're being loaded into ships. Otherwise it gets mega confusing. And here, so at my capital, I'm going to use some of this massive amounts of population I have to create my own fleet of colonizers, because the 150 that I'm using are actually somebody else's ship cap who's in Barker, who's doing battles, and so I want to relieve those as quickly as possible, which is what I just did in one of the cut scenes that you probably won't notice. So now I'm just calculating the price and all that. Of course, I'm missing resources, and that's the great thing about being near your homeworld and other groups of people. They've got stuff to share. and I didn't have enough space. So now, because I'm going to make this into an industrial colony, I'm going to add in 5 million units of storage, which I intend to be holding many billions of units of resources in no time at all. And after a few bits of tweaking, now I got the rest of those resources from the trade station, and I can finish constructing those colonizers. And it's going to cost a whopping amount of money, but I've got the money and I need them now, so I'm making just putting every single available engineer on it, which is half the entire population, which you can max out to something like 75% of your population. It's a curve off. There's a certain way to do it if you do it in multiples of 2 that I won't talk about, but that's the actual most fastest way to do it. So you only build ships and work in groups of ships that are in multiples of 2, and then it's all works out as quick as possible, because it's running off of that and the memory, if that makes sense. It's like fundamentally there. I think I've put this in again, yeah. I'm just showing this a couple of times now, considering this is like the last this series of videos. What I just said before, where I'm clicking the flagship of the carrier, then selecting the extra amount, then going to the carrier loading screen, selecting the corvettes, how many per carrier, and load all and wait like 10 minutes, and then if you click on that little drop bar, you can see actually how long it's taken, or how far through the list it is by how far the square is down the scroll bar. So now I believe I've finished the colonizers and then cut forward to this point in the video. So I can essentially lift my entire remaining population off world now. I have more colonizers than I need, actually, by 8, but that's good to have a few spares. I'm just highlighting the fleets that I reinforced of Barker. I just did a logistical task for him, which he entirely paid for, but in return I've gained, because they'll just leave me. They'll be like, no, you just keep those people and that money, because I will be able to use it, because I know how to use it, because I just proved it by creating them a fleet from a set of instructions. And that's Warring Factions. Cheers.